And our final guest tonight at Mondays at Mory's is Jordan Forney, senior wide receiver out of Bloomington, Indiana, and timely today because he's on the Ivy League honor roll this week after I think it was 11 catches and well over 100 yards in the game on Saturday. And talk about how this season has gone for you so far.
Personally, I just try to be the most accountable guy out there. Try to be Mr. Steady Eddie. I know I said it in one of the most recent programs. I don't do anything that spectacular, but if we need a big play or it's third down, I certainly want the ball in my hands. And I feel like I've garnered that trust from both the coaches and the players that I'm a guy that we can count on when we need a big play. So personally this year, that's the kind of guy I've tried to be. And on the offensive side of the ball, I do see myself as one of the leaders, and I've tried to do that, maybe not that vocal, but with the way I play and kind of the way I carry myself both in practice and in games, and I hope I've been successful in doing that.
Who were your role models as you were coming up through the Yale system, and now you're a senior, but as you were a freshman or sophomore, who'd you look to in the receiving corps?
Honestly, a lot of times it was some of the guys who didn't even play that much. I just respected the fact that guys like Sam Matthias or something, a guy who didn't really see the field a whole lot, but they were still willing to show up every day and work so hard and just be there on a consistent basis. And, just been blessed to be surrounded by so many great guys at that position and so many talented players. It's hard to just pinpoint one guy, but again, I think the work ethic at that position, I've always looked up to the older guys, and they've always been great role models.
Talk about what you did this summer. That's talking about being a role model. That was some pretty good community service stuff.
Absolutely, and all the thanks in the world to Vaccaro, as you know, is a former Yale football player and still involved with the program, and just so fortunate for that opportunity to fall in my lap. We traveled to Mauritius for the summer and empowered underprivileged youth in a classroom setting through experiential learning initiatives, and again, just a phenomenal experience, something that I'll never get a chance to do any other time, I don't think, in my life, and just to maybe make a difference in some kid's life. That feeling is something that I can't sit here and explain to you face to face, but again, just to be interacting with those kids and to really see them excited to show up for class every day, whereas they're kind of just in the routine of showing up, and really, I don't know if they felt like they had a purpose there, but again, we weren't there changing the world or anything, and the people, all the respect in the world for the individuals that were there trying to help them already, but I really hope that we did some good while we were there, and I really think we did.
Well, you were there, in a teaching effort, in a sense. You're educating these kids.
Right.
Do you feel you learned a lot from the experience yourself?
I did, and it was quite stressful, trying to just come up with lesson plans and what happens if these plans flop, and trying to go in on the fly, and certainly there was a language barrier there, and that was very scary. Just trying to have success amidst that adversity was definitely scary, but we were able to all come together as a group. I didn't know any of the individuals before we went, and it was just very rewarding to have that group to fall back on and look to for advice and showing up in that classroom and stuff. And the kids, I know we were a bit uncomfortable at the start, but it got to the point where the kids were almost too comfortable with us, where they'd be kind of messing around with us at the end of the trip. So it was just a phenomenal experience, and again, once-in-a-life opportunity that I certainly couldn't pass on.
Just talk some of the logistics of the trip. How long did it take to get there, and how long were you there, and what was it like?
I believe flying time was 18 hours total, but it took over a day to get there. We connected through Dubai. And just Mauritius in itself was just absolutely beautiful. Beaches everywhere and just absolutely beautiful. And we were treated extremely well when we were there, and just the one thing that was sad was obviously the economic disparity between the people who had these beachfront houses and going into these classrooms and seeing how these kids lived, and that really was a culture shock more than anything for me. Especially, I haven't traveled overseas and I haven't even left the country, so for the first place for me to go to be a place like Mauritius was absolutely a shock. And again, Vedant was phenomenal throughout the whole thing and really helped lead and guide us successfully, and we got to meet his family and be a part of some traditional Mauritian weddings, and just got to do some things that, again, to explain right here, it's just impossible. So it was amazing.
Talk about a little more domestic travel coming from Bloomington, Indiana to Yale. How did you pick Yale? What was that process like?
So I definitely kind of transferred my thinking growing up in this Big Ten environment and thinking that that was something that I want to do, and kind of transferred my thinking over into the Ivy League, and that it provided both a tremendous opportunity both academically and athletically. I was definitely leaning that way, and honestly the choice between sports was probably the hardest. I always said in high school whatever season it was my favorite sport, but football in the end provided the best opportunity for me, and I had the choice between Harvard, Princeton, and Yale, and it just came down to honestly the people when I was here, and I just really enjoyed my trip while I was here, and people were so accommodating and really friendly, and I feel like I made the right choice. And it's small world. I know Adam Money's both from Indiana as well, and also a good buddy growing up from Bloomington is a baseball player here, Gian Elmore, and we were really good friends growing up, and so just out of coincidence we both decided to come here.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because Adam Money was telling me the other day that you guys actually knew each other from baseball.
We did.
From about 5th or 6th grade.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some dispute as to who actually got the better of who. He claims he's got video evidence, but what's the deal?
All right, so I was a Smithville Little League All-Star, and he was a Whiteland Little League All-Star, and it always came down to Whiteland versus Smithville in the championship game, and I will admit that sometimes maybe Whiteland got the best of Smithville, but at the end of the day, I think Smithville was the better team, and between the series, we definitely won. Maybe they'd come to Smithville and win, but we'd go to Whiteland and win more handily and something like that. So it always was kind of the Adam Money versus Jordan Forney in those type of games, but now I'm glad that although he's on the other side of the ball still, that we're on the same team now.
Who gets the better in practice?
Oh, well, yeah, there's another dispute there. Of course, I'm going to not sit here and say Adam does, but he's a great player, and again, to have him on our team is absolutely outstanding, and I think he's climbing up the ranks there with Yale on interceptions, so congrats to him, absolutely.
Now, athletics really runs in your blood. You have a twin sister who is also an athlete in high school, and your parents and grandparents all varsity athletes, really. Talk about that background a little bit.
Really, I just think it instilled the life skills that I've always kind of carried with me, whether it's my work ethic or my commitment to everything that I do. They've really pushed me to do my best in everything, and I really wouldn't like it any other way. I really feel like I thrive in that type of high-paced environment and where I'm being pushed to do my best, and certainly wouldn't be here without that family background and that family little competition, whether we're playing basketball against each other or whatever we're doing. There's always some sort of competition of who's going to win out.
All right, cool. Well, hopefully the Bulldogs win out, and
for sure.
thanks for joining us today, and many more catches down the stretch.
I hope so.
All right, that's Jordan Forney. Thanks for joining us another Monday night at Mory's, and reminder, Yale Columbia this Saturday at the Bowl, noon kickoff.